welcome. This is MoneyHeart, where we explore the emotional side of money. I'm Camille Diaz, and today we're discussing taking the risk. My guest is Jen Vellenga. She is the co-founder of Voice First World, a former professor of theater, academic leader, stage director, and speaking coach turned entrepreneur. Jen, welcome to MoneyHeart.
Thanks so much, Camille. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
Yes, you're very welcome. I am so glad to have you on the show. I'm really excited to talk about this concept of taking the risk, kind of making the leap and going from pretty stable seeming type of career, theater, education, that pretty straightforward, they're always going to need you kind of thing, and jumping into I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Let's do this.
Yeah.
What even prompted you to start thinking about, hey, I think I'm going to launch my own business and I'm going to do something with this?
Well, first of all, I'll say that I don't think anybody believes that theater is a stable career, but academia absolutely is. As a
Yes.
as a full professor, chair of my department, it's basically a job for life when you have tenure and you're a full professor. Great benefits, retirement plan, the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
So that's very stable, and most people do not leave those kinds of jobs, and they're becoming few and far between of late.
Right.
So I'll back up a little bit and say that I was going on sabbatical. I had earned a sabbatical to take off for a semester, and I didn't want to write a book. I do want to write a book, but at that moment, I didn't want to write a book. I'd been listening to a lot of podcasts, and
Is
excuse
that
me.
kind of the common thing? And just pause for, is that like most people go on sabbatical so they can write a book or do some research or something like that? Is that the
Yes,
usual? Okay.
it's so it's usually three academic careers are three parts: teaching, service, and research, or in my case would be professional uh, creative work. So oftentimes I would direct a play. So for me, going and directing a play is something I could do. I The playwright I work with consistently didn't have something exactly at that right timing, and I'd been listening to a lot of podcasts, and I thought, I wonder if. And oh, I should also say, my students would come to me with some audio work, and I would be like, I don't understand the audio editing. I'm a director. I can do the big picture. Somebody else do the technical part. And I thought, okay, as a woman who's at the time was probably pushing 50, I was like, I need to not do that. I need to figure it out. I need
Hmm.
to know what this is. So I was listening to podcasts, and I thought, I'm kind of tired of having parents come talk to me about their students majoring in theater and having them say, well, you can't get a job in theater. And me going, that's not true. I mean, there's
Right.
all kinds of people working in theater. So
Yes.
I wanted something that would inspire both students and parents to understand there's all kinds of people. They aren't all necessarily household names who are making their living in theater. So
Right.
I started with a podcast. The name of that podcast is Ditch Your Backup Plan. That is what I did on sabbatical. I learned all the things in advance, which is, as you know, as a podcaster, Camille, is a lot.
Yeah, I didn't learn the things in advance. I figured out as I went, and it was a lot, like a lot, a
Yeah.
lot. And I went, oh, maybe I should have done a little bit differently. But
It's
yeah,
hard.
it's the way it is.
It's hard. I always say I have an advanced degree in directing, but I feel like I also have an advanced degree in YouTube tutorials. So
Right?
yes. But anyway, I did the Ditch Your Backup Plan podcast. And the two questions that I always asked were, have you made it? Which would always make them laugh. And are you a starving artist or a celebrity? Because
Mhm.
those are the tongue in cheek, those are the questions actors especially get asked all the time.
Yeah.
And they were really fun questions. And what was your biggest risk was the other one. And as I heard these amazing performers, most of them had been my former students, Emmy, Grammy, Tony Award winners, I
Hmm.
started thinking, what risks am I taking?
Yeah.
What risks have I taken lately? Now, I've taken a lot of big risks in my life, but at this moment, with a comfortable, tenured professorship with the chair of the department, calling a lot of shots, able to
Hmm.
do what I want, what risks am I taking? So that was in the back of my mind.
Hmm.
Fast forward to the pandemic hitting, and so I have a co-founder for our company, Voice First World.
Yeah.
We've been in business about 16 months here in I don't know if you want me to say the date or not, but here in October of 22.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Um in 2022. Yeah. So we are in our second year. And my co-founder was an associate vice president for campaigns and principal gifts at the University Foundation where I was working.
Hmm.
And about a decade ago, she invited me to create stories, write scripts, and coach speakers for a lot of the campaign events. She wanted something more unique. And of course, story is where it's at. Where do you go? You go to the theater department.
Sure.
So we built a relationship over a decade, and the pandemic hit, and she called me up and she was like, look, we need you for this. We can't do an in-person campaign. We're hiring a production company out of Kansas City. We live outside of Kansas City.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, I'll do it. And at the end of we did 3 videos, and we had these 3 shoots. After these 3 shoots, a couple of guys who ran that production company came up to us and said, you two bring so much fun to a shoot, and we are just so impressed, and we think you should take note that your working relationship is really unique, special, and created such a valuable experience for everyone.
Mm.
And we were like, well, yeah, we become friends. We have a good time. She's all operations. I mean, she is, I like to say efficient is her middle name.
Yeah.
Jennifer Rettele-Thomas. That's also a good way to say her middle name is actually Rettele, which no one can pronounce. So efficient is her middle name.
Nice. I love that. Yeah.
Yes. So we're all about pronouncing things, and not all about, but we care about how you pronounce things. So anyway, she and I decided to spend every Saturday of the pandemic going, okay, in a basement, outside, whatever you could do with masks or not masks. And we said, what could we do as a side hustle? Because we've heard this before, but now it really hit home. And we had over lunch said to each other, the amount of hours that I put into my job to get a paycheck, what could I do? If I
Hmm.
had that much time, what could we possibly do? Both overworkers for sure. So we started meeting, and we made lots of paper on the walls, lots of Post-its that are like, well, what do you do well? What do I do well? What do you like to do? What do I like to do? How do we make an impact? What do we care about? What are our values? And we finally came up that what we have done together is we've coached or coached speakers, me specifically as an academic, and her hiring me to do that, script writing and coaching. And she is all sales and operations. She runs the business, and I do all of the coaching and the creative. So we launched our business as a side hustle, and we started getting great results. We had some beta testers. We work with women. We've been toying with the idea of working with men because a lot of people have said, men need this too. I'm like, yeah, but we're passionate. Our values align
Yeah.
with women in leadership. So, not to make this longer than it needs to be, but the end result is that after beta testers and after launching our program in May of 21, we got great results. And she came to me and she was like, all right, look, we're going to have to ditch our backup plan. We're going to have to really do this thing if we're going to do it. So we decided we would resign on the same day. So on June 1st of 21, we both walked into our boss's office. Actually, it was summer for academics, so I emailed mine. But she walked into her boss's office and she said, peace out, I'm leaving. Very surprising for both of us to walk away, but we never looked back. And so here we are 16 months in, June 1st of 2021 is when we left, and we've coached, I don't know, probably close to 70, 75 women at this point. Plus we've gone to organizations and talked to them. We've gone to conferences. So we are never looked back, and we're thrilled. So we coach women to speak with presence so that they can lead with influence and generate change.
Yeah. I love that. Um, when you left, did you have any of that like nervous, I'm not sure what happens if, like, was that going on at all? Or you
Oh
just
my
like, go on,
God,
this is fine, it's gonna be fine.
yes. Well, I say all performing artists, all people in the arts who make it their career are entrepreneurs. You're always on the market. There's always a new thing. You're always building something.
Sure.
My thing was always new play development. So a new play is a new business every time you have a new play. But you're talking a lot about much smaller dollar amounts than a large company that you're building.
Yeah.
But each new play is a startup. So I felt like I understood the process of doing something new. I just didn't understand the process of not having a safety net. So the night before I was turning in my resignation, there'd been lots of conversations, right? We're talking about probably August of 2020, and we left June of 21. But we didn't think we thought it was a side hustle. So
Right.
we
Right.
probably had 2 months of a period of time where we were thinking, okay, we're going to leave. uh my husband, the night before, I was just like hyperventilating, like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. What happens if? And he was like, can you just stop? Just stop. I
Yeah.
have a job. We have health insurance. You're okay. It's okay. Just, you've decided to do it. You're going to go for it. We have a few different things in place that we can rely on if,
Yeah.
these are the safety nets that are in place. None of them that are particularly, it's not like I have a trust fund. Let's just say that. They're
Yeah.
like, well, we'll sell one of the cars. Well, we'll sell the
Right.
house. I mean, these are major things. Um, yeah, so it was scary, but I did it. And I don't know, I would not have done it without my business partner. I say this all the
Mm.
time. I would not be in business without her. And she feels the same.
Okay. Yeah. So the two of you doing it together made it maybe more possible, um, than on your own by yourself without anybody else helping. And it sounds like you have a really good match of strengths. One person that's doing all the operation stuff and one person that's doing all the client facing creative stuff is a great match. That's really cool. Really cool. I'm wondering, what is how is it with other people? Like, have people come to you and said, "How did you do that?" Like, does anybody ever come and they're just like, "What were you thinking?" Or, what was the feedback? I guess is what I'm kind of wondering. What your husband was
Because
on
it's
board.
crazy, right? It is.
Well,
I
it kind
mean,
of sounds crazy,
yeah.
although there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there have been like, doing the thing, let's do it, just go for it. Who knows? Maybe I got to sleep on the. I know one guy who, basically had lawn furniture in his living room and had a one-bedroom apartment and lived off Pop-Tarts for like a couple of years until his thing got started. And now his company is worth millions and, he's doing fabulously. So it works out, but it doesn't always work out. There's a lot
Right.
of times that you have the lawn furniture in your living room and you eat the Pop Tarts, and then the next thing you know, you've got to go get some kind of a job because you can't just eat Pop Tarts forever. There's no vitamins. And
There's a few I think they inject it with, but
okay, yeah, but they've been injected. Exactly.
right.
Maybe not enough for survival. And I think beer was his standard drink because you have to have something, I guess. uh
Got to
Water
get through it
wasn't enough.
somehow. Yeah.
You need calories. You got to put calories in. But for a lot of people, it doesn't work. They take the leap and it doesn't work. So what were people's reactions? And then I'm curious to know what you kind of put in place that you think helped made it work. But first, like, did you have
Oh,
pushback
yeah.
from people?
Yeah.
Did you have people that other, I mean, your husband was obviously amazingly supportive. He's like, hey, if we got to sell the house, we sell the house. You're doing the thing. What about everybody else? Because that happens a lot. Like, I feel like entrepreneurs a lot, we go for it and then, you get the cousin that's like, that's stupid. And your neighbor's like,
Oh,
you did what? And you just start to, your self-confidence starts to lower because people are just telling you you're nuts. And it's so
yeah.
hard.
Yeah, all of that. We tell our clients, don't ever say that's a really good question because it's so overused, but like those are really good questions, Camille, seriously. And so important. So I think both of us had really great family support. We have amazing spouses. We talk about good guys and men who are allies. We absolutely have that in our spouses. We have parents. Thankfully, we both have parents who are father and mother still living. They've all four have been really supportive. I remember my mom saying, me going, I feel like our partnership is 1 in 100. And she's like, oh, honey, I think it's 1 in 1 million. So I think
Oh,
people recognize that she and I are a really good match. People who knew her and knew me and saw us work together in the university environment would be like, oh, that works. Like that checks out. Those two, because I think there are people, if I could brag a little here, I think there's people that could say about her, man, she let her go and she's going to rule the world. Same about me in our own spheres. People have said those things about us. We're very efficient, productive, achievers, all of that. So, two of us together, a lot of people are like, yeah, that's a good thing. Now, on the other side, there were people who, I can think of a family member at a family wedding who was like, yeah, a guy who was like, um, yeah, so wait, what are you doing? You're doing this, like, what are you, like, some kind of online consulting? What do you, I was like, we're coaching. And he's like, I just don't understand like why you would do that. I was like, I don't expect you to understand it. It's okay. So that there were definitely, I think there's that. There's people who kind of avoid you because they don't really get what that, like, why would you do that? I think there's people at your old job that sort of wonder, did I do something wrong? Was there something that happened? There wasn't necessarily something that happened, but I do think at some point, especially in higher ed during a pandemic, you're asked to do more and more and more and more. And as I said earlier, at what point are you like, when do I get to do more for me instead of more for the organization that's not paying me nearly enough? A good
Right.
salary, but not enough for how much I'm putting out. Putting out is a terrible phrase to use, by the way.
Okay. Well, contributing.
Contributing. Thank you. Um, so there's that. There's a little bit of, you seem like a foreign creature now that you've done this. I don't
Mm,
understand that. People don't leave theater. People don't leave higher ed. People leave theater in the beginning. But when you've been in theater for 30, well,
yeah.
since I was 11 years old, you don't leave.
Right.
You don't leave academia. I left both. So there's that. Then I would say the biggest answer for you, Camille, is my own self. The moments where I was like, oh my God, what have I just done? No, what was I thinking? Was this some kind of fever dream? Was this some great resignation pandemic moment? And then the solution has really been a lot of mindset work. I got into meditation. I really think about my values, what I'm grateful for now, what I'm grateful for that will happen in the future. I look at evidence, and I do this in coaching as well. We talk about, what is the evidence that you will succeed? Stack that up for me. Tell me how that's going to happen. And then my brother is a financial advisor and stepped away for his own company about 3 years ago. And I called him, he's my younger brother. So it feels like asking the baby.
Right.
And
Right.
I called him because it's ups and downs. I mean, we've had some amazing months. We've had some months where we were like, ah.
Yeah.
So, and you would know that, right?
Yeah. Been an entrepreneur for a really long time. This
Yeah.
is definitely, we had, especially, and my husband's an entrepreneur too. So double
Oh,
entrepreneur family. So there's nobody that has health benefits and a retirement plan. I mean, we do now because we set it up for ourselves. But in the beginning, it was like,
right.
are we eating? Are we having lights this month? Do we need a week of darkness for mental recuperation? Yes, we are relaxing. We never
Yeah.
got that bad, but we wondered, and our kids were really little. So we were just like, are we going to make it? Is the client going to send the check before the bills are due or not? We
Hmm.
definitely went through that phase, and it was several years. It wasn't like, a couple of weeks and
No.
you're in the clear. It was a few years that it was like that. And then it was a few years of, I think we're okay. Or I think we're okay.
The numbers look good. Yeah. Well, when I called my brother, I was like, okay, so did I just do this? What am I doing? Like, I'm okay to go get a job. So this is the thing. I started as an actor. I waited tables. I'm never waiting tables again. I did my time.
Okay.
But like, I'm okay if we had a stretch that was really bad. I'm all in. I'm all in forever,
Yeah.
because of the impact we're making in women's lives. That's why I'm not looking to
Right.
make $1 billion. It'd be great if we did, but I'm in it to make a living, to be able to live my same lifestyle, but to make an impact on the world.
Right.
But I told my brother, I was like, I mean, what if? And he said, you can't worry till 3 years. Everybody says it takes a startup 3 years to do, to do anything. So you got to just chill. And I'm like, well, what if? And he's like, so you go get a job, go deliver pizzas, go get a receptionist job. I'm like, I'm an academic, I'm my advanced degree. He's like, so go teach somewhere. Lots of teachers are needed, substitute teachers. I don't think I want to do that, and I don't need to right now. I should say I
Right.
don't need to,
Right.
but
No, you're doing great. But if you had to, and what he was giving you was that it's not a crisis if you have to go do something for a little while to make things work. And I
yeah,
love that you brought that up because I think that entrepreneurs, when we get into it, we think if I'm not 100% earning my living from my brand new venture, week one, I have completely failed as an entrepreneur and that's never going to work. It's totally okay to combo for however long you need to.
because
So,
there's also people out in the world who have done it in a week, who've been very fast. And I think I should also say, I think that a lot of men have been riskier in business than women. And there's
Mhm.
research that shows that women self
Mhm.
fund. We self funded for sure in the beginning. And
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I mean, we never got any loans or anything like that.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, I think knowing that you have the skills to step out, but it's an identity crisis, because a friend of mine asked me about leaving academia, and I was like, be careful, because it is an identity crisis. You are that person you've built up. I mean, it takes a lot to get assistant professor, associate professor, full professor, tenure, department chair. These are things that are, nobody knows labels like a university, right? I mean,
Right.
you wear those badges like they actually mean something, but they don't. They don't mean anything. What they mean for me is that I have proven I have the ability to achieve. So
More
why
evidence.
wouldn't, yes, evidence. So why wouldn't I have that same evidence to achieve, even if it takes a little bit longer, because there's only two of us. We don't have a whole institution to back us up.
Right. And you're doing something new. There's not a preset system that you're just going to slot into that system that's been going for 50 years or however long. New
You
thing.
advanced degree in YouTube tutorials too.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's how you learn
That's
it all.
yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what things do you think really helped you be successful? Like what did you do right?
Found the right business partner.
Hmm.
But people will ask me about, how do you find a business partner? And I was like, I can't help you there, because that started first. That started 10 years ago with someone who asked me to work with her. We loved working together. We became
Hmm.
friends. And I should also say, we are opposites. We are total opposites. So we have to navigate that. I live in a creative space, and she's very checklist, check it off, check it. I mean, she's so incredibly efficient, as I said. And she'll be like, so you're creating that thing. Do you think you'll have the first part of it done by? And the other day, a couple months ago, she looked at me and she stopped herself and she was like, I'm sorry. You know what? This is the deadline for that thing. Get to it however you need to. I was like, yeah, because I can't promise you the first part of this thing is going to happen. When I say this thing, I mean like recordings,
Right, right.
coaching, trainings, which is the thing I know as a professor. So I'm doing these recorded trainings. And she's like, will you get the whole thing done by? I'm like, yes, I can tell you I'll make this deadline. And by the way, she knows that that means 2 days later than that. Just because the creative process cannot be rushed, Camille.
It cannot. I understand.
But we would not be moving. I mean, sometimes she's like, okay, we're going to Kansas City. We're going to Northwest Arkansas. I get in the car. I was like, where are we going? Who are we talking to? She's like, we got this meeting, that meeting, that meeting. I'm like, okay, okay, I'll just show up. So she's keeping us
Right.
moving. She does all of the things I hate. She keeps the spreadsheets and the finances and the relationships going. She answers the emails. Like, I don't do that.
That's
I'm
awesome.
happy to. I can, but luckily I don't have to. So, you asked what was the key. The
What
key
did
is
you do right? Yeah.
what did we do right? Well, we found amazing business partners in each other. We I'll represent her here. She goes by JRT, her initials. So JRT, I would not probably have done this, Camille, but JRT early on got us in. We got a domain, Voice First World. We built our LLC. We hired a lawyer. We got insurance. We got privacy policy, terms of I can't even remember all the things, but all
Yep.
of the business essentials she made sure that we had. And I was kind of like, what are we doing? She's like, read this document. We're signing this. We had a business agreement before we ever made a dollar.
Nice. If anybody walks away with nothing else from this show other than if you have a partner, create an agreement before you start doing any work or anything else or making money before it turns into a battle, 100% do that. Have an agreement, have an attorney look it over. Can't tell you how much that saved me, even though my partnership was a hot mess and turned into a disaster. We referred to that agreement multiple times to figure out what to do and what are the rules. And nobody fought over that stuff. There was all kinds of issues with other stuff, but nobody fought over the stuff that was in the agreement. It was just, well, I guess that's how that works, and that's how that works, and here's how this gets split up, and here's who's responsible for this, and off we go. So,
Yep.
Oh my
50
gosh, great advice. Great
50
advice.
50. Yes. I mean, we got our trademark, which is now a registered trademark. I mean, that
Ooh,
takes a while.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are registered trademark for Voice First World, which I would advise a little bit. I like the term Voice First World because it's voice first is the terminology for any, Alexa, Siri, anything that is voice activated, voice
Mhm.
first.
Mhm.
And then we saw a video, an article that said it's a voice first world. And I was like, it is a voice first world. So let's communicate, use your voice, speak up. But then there's that first world, which is like, is this a first world problem?
Oh, hmm,
It is
hmm.
kind of a first world problem. It isn't. Everybody needs to speak up. But if people want to think coaching to help you speak with presence is kind of a first world problem. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you jump fast like we did, we got trademark, registered trademark. Now, what if our podcast is Speak with Presence? What if we wanted that to be? So we are looking into the trademark for that as well. But it's expensive, but I think it matters.
Hmm.
So yes, those things, and knowing we're 50-50, knowing if something goes wrong, we know the person we're going to ask who's going to decide and make a decision for us. Yeah,
Nice.
just getting attorneys, our accountant. We have an accountant. Um, all of the business details were handled. Yeah, we don't need to overtalk that, but that she would be when she listens to this, she'll be very happy that I mentioned that, and that was all. She gets credit for all of that.
Yes. And all such important things to put your systems in place to get all that stuff done in the beginning. A lot of people think, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll get to it later. Eh, yeah, that's just a lot of paperwork. It's not really necessary. Sure, it doesn't matter until you have an issue. And then as soon as you have an issue where someone else wants to use your company name and they've already made an LLC, it's like, now what do? You got to change everything. You got to change all your marketing. Like you don't get to do it unless you've already done the trademark, done the LLC, like done all those things. Put your agreements in place, gotten your accountant so you know where your money's at. Like so many steps to do that's really annoying and not exciting at the beginning. And you're like, that's not very
Yeah.
fun. It's probably not, but totally worth it. Um,
Luckily, she loves that stuff. I mean, that makes her feel that's probably her security that she
yeah,
feels. I probably wouldn't been like, we don't really do that in theater very much. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If someone's thinking about taking this thing, how do you recommend people figure out if this level of risk of going into entrepreneurship, following the dream, doing the big idea, how do people even figure out if that suits them? And I love that we already talked about backup plan because that probably eases some stress. But what's your kind of like best advice? Like, hey, think about this, or here's what you can think if you're considering it.
You have to have a support system around
Mhm.
you. You have to really know yourself inside and out, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you can shop out, what you
Mm,
can afford to shop out. Because there's some things I see, we'll talk to some people and are like, oh, I don't do any of my marketing. It's like, well, you can't afford not to. People don't want to learn things. So, like, I'll just spend all my money to shop this out. But I think we'll have a better business in the future because we've done all of it ourselves, since we
mm,
know.
hmm.
Um, I think it's so much of a person's makeup. I think there's intense mindset required. I
Yeah.
don't think you can make it. I'm going with my brother's 3 year mark. If I get to the 3 year mark and we're exactly where we are or where we were 2 months ago and we're still in that same spot, then we need to have some pretty deep conversations about, is this meant to
Right.
go? People start, they stop a foot from gold. So you've got to be in it for the long term. You've got to know what your personal makeup is. You've got to figure out how you're going to manage that mindset work on just trusting, believing, having it align with your values, all of that. But I think support system has to be number one because
Mm,
you will go, oh my God, what if this doesn't happen? Or I think you will. I don't know. I definitely did. Most entrepreneurs I know have. But
for sure.
one good tip, Camille, is to listen to things like your podcast and go listen to Ditch Your Backup Plan and hear those artists who all were like, I drove a Penske truck with $500 to my name into New York City with one show that was going to close in 3 weeks. Listen to other people who have done it, who have pioneered the path for you.
Yeah.
Because again, evidence. If they can do it, why not me? Why not
Right.
you?
Yeah, why not you? Absolutely. I love that you have that 3 year mark that your brother said, and that you talked about how your relationship with Jen was 10 years, or with JRT. Sorry,
Yep.
you're Jen, she's JRT. So people don't get confused.
They say the
I've
gens, sometimes they'll say the
Right. I've
gens.
met you both, so in my mind, I see your faces very clearly, but as
Yeah.
someone's listening and hasn't met you both, then it's harder. But this is not a super fast, be successful overnight type of thing. Even the people who look like they have an overnight success have probably started multiple things before that did not work, that taught them what they needed to know to make the overnight success an overnight success, because they learned on all the failed stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
just knowing that it's not going to be instantaneous, there is no quantum leap jump over there. You got to do the work, you got to have the support system, you got to do the mindset so that you actually get through those days when you're like, I don't think I'm gonna. You just,
Not gonna make it. Not gonna
you
make
get
it
up and your
today.
brain just says no. So yeah, yeah. But I love that. Don't stop a foot from gold. Go for it.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yay, yay, yay. What are you most excited about right now? What's going great in your business and your world at the moment?
The thing I'm most excited about is a website relaunch. And I paused because I'm visual. So what popped into my brain is our success story page, which was really funny at one point. So again, my co-founder, she would put people on my calendar, our clients, our past and current clients, our alums of our program. And I'd look at my calendar and she's put somebody on my calendar that I'm interviewing. I'm like, what am I doing? She's like, get dressed up, although I don't put me in the video. But she just kept putting these testimonials on my calendar and I would go interview our clients. And because she was keeping that moving, we now have this amazing page of, I don't know, a dozen video testimonials. And at one point, we put them on YouTube at first before we put them into our website, just to kind of see them all together and test them out. And I clicked each one all at the same time. I mean, kind of by accident, but now all of our clients are talking to us at once. So I was like, come here, you have to see this. And you have like a dozen faces going, this is what I got, this is what I'm like, this. The fact that we made an impact on
Yeah.
women leaders' lives. That's the most amazing thing about our business. But you asked what I'm excited about. I'm excited about continuing to do that. I'm excited about a website relaunch that gets to share their stories. And we have a 3 video freebie that I've put three top trainings that our clients get the most out of to just offer. Because I do want to say one other thing, Camille, that I think is very important, which is I believe in one thing. Do one thing really well. So
Hmm.
we had a high ticket coaching program first. That's it. And a lot of people were like, I can remember one person saying, well, I mean, I have a young, I don't know, daughter-in-law who needs this and she can't afford it. And I'm like, I don't have anything else for her right now. She can go to our podcast and get free information. She can go to our Facebook group. That's what we have.
Right.
Well, now that we figured that out, we've been able to do a mid-level program and a much less expensive. Like, these are some recorded modules that you can purchase whatever stage of leadership you're in. But
Right.
I think being very disciplined, and theater directing will teach you this. You cannot, like, oh, there's an idea, let's put it in the play. Oh, that's a funny idea, put it in the play. When you do that, you end up with this soup that nobody wants to eat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you got to do the steps in order.
Mm-hmm.
Can't skip any of the steps. So we talked about you got to set up all your business structure and set up your bookkeeping and then set up your initial program and figure out what people want and what actually sells and what's repeatable, what the best parts of that big high ticket program are. And then, okay, what can we do to serve on different tiers and help people get in? But yeah, you can't skip the steps. You're so
No,
right.
and the outcomes, we thought we knew what the outcomes. Oh, that's the other thing too, is you learn. I mean, I could talk about this all day. I won't, but you learn along the way. Your clients teach you. Same with students. Your students teach you what they need. That was my favorite part of teaching is you don't, people think the professor stands up there and gives you their knowledge. No, it's a collaboration. You find out what your students need. So we thought we were offering one thing, we were really offering another thing. So for instance, we used to say, we started out by saying we help women speak with presence without being perfect so that they can advance into higher levels of leadership.
Yes.
Higher levels of leadership. That's still a mission, but we started getting CIOs, CFOs, CEOs. We've worked with something 3 or 4 CEOs now.
Hmm.
Are we really telling them we're going to help them get into higher levels of leadership?
No, you're just helping them be a more amazing leader at the amazingly high level they're already in.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
now we say we help women speak with presence without being perfect so they can influence change in their workspace,
Yes.
because all leaders have to navigate change. So that is more accurate. And we didn't know. We thought we were capturing a mid level professional. We still do that, but we're actually capturing the highest level. And I'm always reading the research. So the research says when women get outnumbered, so the higher up they go, the more they're outnumbered.
Yes. Yes.
When women are outnumbered, they speak up less. It
Hmm.
doesn't mean that they aren't experts at what they do or that they aren't contributors. It just means they're speaking up less because they're outnumbered. So we're hitting that population who have now,
So,
they've been great all along. And then they get to this level and they're like, uh-oh, and they start to feel disoriented. We help that person. So learning along the way, your clients teach you what you offer. Really, your clients teach you what you offer.
yes. That is so I love your mission. I just love it. I'm so
Thank you.
excited.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. This has been awesome. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom and experience with us. It's just been fabulous.
Thank you so much. I love being here.
Yay. Jen's podcast is called Speak with Presence. It's on whatever platform you use to listen to Money Heart. So just search for Speak with Presence and it'll be right there. You
Okay.
can visit the website that she was mentioning. It's called Voice First World. So no spaces or anything, just type voicefirstworld.com altogether. And if you are a woman speaker and would like some tips and tricks, you can join the Facebook group. This is called Powerful Women Speakers. So jump on over there. Thank you as well to our listeners and viewers. I'm your host, Camille Diaz. I'm a business optimization coach, financial educator, author, and speaker. You can contact me and find out what I'm up to through my website, CamilleDiaz.com, and follow me on social media at Cam Unfiltered. Be sure to follow Money Heart at Money Heart Show, and our website is moneyheartshow.com. Jen, would you like to share today's money mantra?
Yes, today's money mantra comes from my mother, Dr. Mary Gwendon, who always said, "It's only money."
I love it. I love it. Love it. Thank you so much.
I've loved being here. Thanks, Camille.